Our videos about rimless glasses have been incredibly popular recently, so I thought, screw it, you want rimless glasses? Here are all the rimless glasses that I can find. Well, not quite. Here are the best rimless glasses that I can find. In our last rimless showcase, we focused on the 3 best available, and I picked out 3 of my favourites. Well, I've expanded that to be 3 of my favourite brands available on the market. We have Reykjavik Eyes from Iceland, Flair from Germany, and Cartier, of course, from France. And I'm going to be comparing all the little details and differences that make these frames so special, make them so much better than your ordinary pair of rimless glasses, and looking at the differences between each brand and comparing them against each other to hopefully help you choose your next pair of rimless glasses. So hi, I'm Robert, Style and Vision Consultant here at the Spectacle Factory, and it's my job to pair you with your perfect pair of glasses. And if you're into rimless glasses, or maybe you're just dabbling in the thought of it, this video is for you. So I'm going to start with a company that has a lot of history with rimless glasses. In fact, they have the most history with rimless glasses because this is the company that actually invented them originally. Flair are a German manufacturer, still independently owned, and they manufacture all their glasses by hand in their one workshop, their one facility in the heart of Germany. They make a huge array of different designs, but the most popular are their pure rimless frames, which are made from a material called biosteel, extremely flexible, extremely bendy, but also extremely lightweight. This is officially the lightest frame in the world. It weighs something like 2 grams. It's also got a screwless hinge. Comfort-wise, they're exceptional because they're so lightweight. Biosteel apparently is more durable than titanium, according to Flair. And this model comes in loads of different shapes and colours. Obviously, this is slightly more of a feminine style because of the reddish, almost pinkish red, I guess, and the slightly cat's eye shape. But you can also get this frame in a round design, in a square design. Basically, you can mix and match it to your heart's content. I even have a client who wears these in orange and they look fabulous. So I guess if you want the most minimalistic glasses possible, this model is the one for you. It's that simple. But if you want your rimless glasses to be just that little bit more defined, this model achieves that. The angular kind of rectangle shape is, to me, a little bit dated, but a lot of guys still wear this kind of style and are comfortable with it, and that's absolutely fine. It has a slightly brushed ruthenium finish, and that's definitely a representation of the quality that goes into Flair glasses. It looks very, very nicely done. And similarly, this model has just that little bit extra going for it as well, with a slightly thicker arm, obviously a darker colour. I guess if I had to determine it as one colour, it would be burnt orange. Again, very lightweight and comfortable. All Flair frames are, that's the emphasis. And despite this one not being necessarily as flexible, Flair frames are still very bendy, and the reason for that is the unique fixing system that Flair used to attach the arms and the bridge to the frame. There's no other manufacturer in the world using this method. Essentially, and you'll see how this compares to the other more conventional rimless glasses in a minute, but essentially this is done with 3 holes drilled through the lens. The frame actually slots into only one of those holes, and the other 2 are used for stitching a nylon thread and tying a knot, in fact 2 knots, into it to hold it all in place. And that means these frames are very, very flexible, even at the points where the frame meets the lens, which conventionally is the weak point on rimless glasses. So these get away from that weak point. That's what I love about Flair, is that invention, or reinvention of rimless glasses. And a lot of people who've had rimless glasses have had bad experiences with the other types of fixing points, and this is just a revelation for those kind of people. But Flair also dressed it up as well, and their Art Couture range, which this model is from, are very, very beautiful and ornate. This one is white gold plated, with a sprinkling of diamond dust, believe it or not, and Swarovski crystals, genuine A-grade Swarovski crystals adorning each side, which are huge. These make fantastic wedding eyewear, or for special occasions, or some people who just like to be dressed up, wear them all the time. They're still, despite being so decorative, very, very flexible and strong, and that's the thing. These combine style with substance. And if you want to just make it that little bit more subtle, this is one of the newest models from the collection. This has 5 much smaller Swarovski crystals, and again, that finish of gold plating combined with a sprinkling of gold dust. It's a really, really beautiful finish on these, and it has to be seen up close really, where you can really admire the attention to detail. And rimless glasses like this for ladies are designed to be very subtle but elegant at the same time. You can think of them as jewellery for your face, and in fact, Rimless glasses in general are kind of like jewellery for your face, although with the Reykjavik frames they're definitely a bit more minimalistic. And I think that's a nice point at which to move on to them. So if you want glasses which are very modern, very sophisticated, Reykjavik Eyes I think are the brand to look for. The concept is that these frames are each laser cut from a single sheet of titanium, so there are no solder joints used in any of the frames. There are also no screws and no springs. Despite that, again, the frames have incredible flexibility. This time it doesn't come from the joints, it comes from the material itself. These are made from beta titanium, which is the same material used in modern aircraft. Extremely durable. I would say personally the most durable frames in the world. If you want your glasses to be strong and that's your main criteria, I would go with Reykjavik Eyes all day long. Although the Flair aren't necessarily flimsy, in fact they're very durable compared to most rimless glasses. The Reykjavik Eyes are even that next step up in terms of strength. And almost as light as those Flair Pure frames, the ones that I said were about 2 grams, I think these are probably about 3 grams, so it's almost an unnoticeable difference. This is one of my favourite frames, which is called the Tecla. Round rimless glasses are really making a comeback at the moment. It's one of the most kind of up-to-date styles to choose, believe it or not. A few years ago, this would have been a retro, old-fashioned look. Now it's super modern and on-trend. If you're a lady who wants a slightly smaller, more understated look, this Marta is finished in a very soft pink with a bright hot pink on the inside, which you almost don't see when they're worn, and comes in a very, very small, minimalistic shape. This has actually been a really popular model because for some ladies that's what they want. They want rimless glasses which almost disappear, and this achieves that. I'm in love with the gold edition frames that Reykjavik Eyes make. These are regular Reykjavik Eyes frames, finished in 18 karat gold plating, and it just makes them that extra little bit more premium. I've got my eyes on some of the gold edition frames myself. I'm not sure if this is the one that I will pick, but I might do, called the Hengo. I absolutely love it, especially the brush finish that they've achieved with the gold. It contrasts interestingly against the Cartier gold. These are also gold plated, although it's 23 karat and it's twice the thickness of the Reykjavik Eyes. It's interesting how both achieve such different styles and different looks from the same method of gold plating. Now for me, certainly for day-to-day wear, this brush finish is a bit more appropriate. I think this is a frame that I could wear, especially with a little bit of a tint on the lens. And tinted lenses with rimless frames is something that I recommend very often. We have some technology in the store that can show you exactly how each frame would look with a tint, and often a little tint to the lens achieves that extra little bit of definition, which sometimes rimless frames can be lacking without. Having said that, another way to achieve definition is with this Rimless Tech concept that Reykjavik Eyes invented. So these are rimless frames with a coloured insert fitted into the lens itself, just around the lens rim. It's very intricate, very technical to do, hence why they called it Rimless Tech. But it just gives the frames that extra little bit of definition, making them just that extra bit more modern. As I said at the start, Reykjavik Eyes are extremely sophisticated. That's how I would describe them. And this is the personification of that, really. This one's called the Cirrus, particularly with the neon green on the inside. I mean, you just don't really see rimless glasses as cool as that. I love it. I think it's a really cool one. And it's been probably our most popular rimless style within the Reykjavik Eyes collection, at least. Of course, there are other models within the Rimless Tech collection. This one, called the Alexis, has the bright pink around the lens rim, really cool. And this one, called the Andres, is a more classic kind of shape, but still slightly angular, especially in this bottom corner. I really like the attention to detail there. But for a guy who wants a more conventional shape, the Andres is really good. For a lady who again wants that slightly more petite look, the Alexis is perfect. Now, Reykjavik Eyes frames are all handmade in Italy. Well, I say handmade, obviously they don't use their hands to laser cut the titanium, but they're hand assembled, hand finished, and most of all hand painted. And that's why you get these really vibrant neon colours that are usually used on the inside of the frames. Because I think if they're on the outside, it might be a bit over the top. But this way, it's just enough where it gives the frame character without taking over. This one is called the Alba, but I've made it in my own custom shape, and you should definitely check out the video where I designed that. That's another thing. Rimless glasses can be made with any shape you like. If you speak to a good optician, they'll customize your rimless glasses not only to the size of your head, so they fit you perfectly, but also to the exact shape and profile that you want that suits you perfectly. That's what I did with this Alba, and that makes them one of a kind. Although this is a replica that I made for people to try in the store because it was so popular following that video. The thing that I most love with the Alba is the addition of the raised brow bar that kind of floats above the frame. I think that's a really cool touch. And this is definitely one of my favorite rimless glasses in the world, bar none. So that's Reykjavik Eyes. Icelandic design, Japanese materials, the titanium comes from Japan, and Italian construction, fusing some of the best regions in eyewear manufacturing all together into one brand. Reykjavik Eyes are our most popular glasses and my most recommended glasses if you value functionality, quality, durability, comfort. They tick all of those boxes and they're a really cool modern style as well. However, if you want your glasses to be beautiful, Cartier is the way to go. I mean, Cartier just make the most stunning, the most elegant, the most amazing rimless glasses. And I've got a few of the best ones here to show you today in this video. I'm going to be filming more individual videos about the Cartier collection because there are so many different rimless styles that they make. But I've picked out what I would consider the best at the moment, at least. I mean, my opinion changes weekly on that. This is the classic vintage cedar Cartier rimless frame, which has the kind of claw that comes around the front. It is unmistakably Cartier. No other rimless company have come up with a design that's as interesting, I guess, as that. It's not just interesting though, it's elegant and beautiful too. These look phenomenal as sunglasses. Here you see it finished in yellow gold. All Cartier frames are either finished in gold or platinum. This is obviously the gold. And it also has the pronounced bridge, which I don't know if you can tell from this angle, kind of juts out away from my nose slightly. It's another really interesting touch that makes these stand apart from all of the rimless glasses in the world. But one of the newer models that Cartier have brought out are the Santos de Cartier rimless glasses. And I mean, I'm a fan of Santos de Cartier watches. I have one myself, I'm very fortunate too. And it was actually the eyewear that inspired me to invest in that. But this takes the concept of the Santos de Cartier, which is the exposed screws contrasting against a brushed finish, and turns them into a pair of rimless glasses. And those exposed screws are just such a cool industrial, again, vintage inspired design, but certainly with a modern twist, especially with the rounder shape. This is a pair of rimless glasses that I would definitely wear myself, again with a tint. I think this would match perfectly with a slight blue gradient tint to offset the platinum finish. That would just be a perfect combination for me. But it gets even more special than that. I mean, we've talked about gold, we've talked about platinum. What could be better? Well, buffalo horn, for example. Buffalo horn is a very ethical material because the animals naturally shed their horns. And there are two types of buffalo horn. You have the white and the black. And which one you choose is really up to you, but of course the white clearly stands out all the more. This white buffalo horn is very, very eye-catching. It's unmistakably horn as well because of the patterns and the coloration of it. And you'll never get two in the world the same. That's what I love about natural materials like this. Each one, literally each one in the world is very special and you'll never see another one like it. The black buffalo horn is more to my taste. I think a little bit more formal, a little bit more understated, which I personally prefer, but that's not to say it's better. And there's just an amazing feel when you wear a buffalo horn frame. They just glide on and off the face so effortlessly, and it's almost an event putting your glasses on. I've said this before, but it's true. It feels very special to wear them. And maybe part of that is me being in the industry and having tried on thousands and thousands of pairs of glasses and knowing that these feel like none of the others. But I get the impression that if you own a pair, you'd feel the same when you put them on. But certainly they feel very, very special to wear, and of course they look beautiful as well. The gold plating on Cartier frames is done to twice the thickness of the industry standard. And that just means that it's so glossy, I mean, the quality just looks amazing. You only really appreciate it when you see it up close, but they're immaculate. And in addition to the buffalo horn, we have another exotic material, wood. This uses, I think, I believe it's 9 laminate layers of wood all pressed together, which gives the frame more durability than if you just used a single solid piece. And the wood have a different feel to the buffalo horn, but they feel similarly special. They're not as smooth because obviously the buffalo horn is polished and it's almost like, well, I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels really smooth. The wood doesn't feel smooth, the wood has texture to it, but that means that it grips more as well. It feels very secure to wear. I often recommend wood frames for clients who wear hearing aids, for example, because they don't need to hook behind the ear, But even if you don't wear hearing aids, it's just more comfortable. This region behind the ear is called the mastoid, and it's one of the most sensitive parts of the body. And that's why a lot of people have discomfort when they wear glasses, because they press in those areas. So having a frame that just grips to the head without having to hook behind the ear is a revelation. It feels so much better. But the cool thing is they grip. They don't need that purchase behind the ear to stay in place. So therefore, they're very comfortable. I really like this one with the combination of the platinum and the wood. I think it's fabulous. But you can also choose it in gold, of course. This has exactly the same wood, just with a gold finish on the front. I guess this one gives a slightly warmer look with the gold as opposed to the platinum, which is a bit colder. Whew. Anyway, that was a lot of rimless glasses that we just got through. One thing I haven't talked about is the fixings. I said that I would. So we talked about Flair and how special that is, how it's stitched together and how that makes it more flexible at the drill points. Well, Reykjavik Eyes use a more conventional system which has plugs. So we have 2 silicone plugs which go through 2 holes drilled into the lens from the back, and then the frame itself has pins on which slot into those plugs. That does mean that those pins are potentially a weak point because they're very thin, and if you put enough pressure on the frame, those are the points that are going to break first. But Reykjavik Eyes are made from such a high grade of titanium that we almost never see that happen. And if it did, we warranty it for 3 years. So if it happened after 2 years, you're going to get a free replacement pair of glasses. Technically, yes, it's not as durable as Flair's system, nothing is. But the plug system is tried and tested, and it's okay as long as the frame itself is made from good quality material. Cartier have gone with a more traditional fixing system. They use nuts and bolts, and there's certainly a lot to be said for that as well. It's literally fixed together with a screw that comes through the front of the frame and then a bolt which fixes on the back. You use 2 screwdrivers to tighten them up together. It's tried and tested. It's the most solid because there's like 0 flexibility in these frames. And that does give them a more solid feel when you wear them, but it also makes them the most prone to breaking. What Cartier have done is, rather than using a fixed screw that's attached to the frame, as most manufacturers do, like 99% do, and if it breaks, you've got to replace the whole glasses. The screw on Cartier frames is separate to the arm itself or the bridge itself, so that part can always be replaced if it's broken. I think that's a really great design concept. So yeah, props to Cartier for thinking about the end consumer in that sense, because it makes them a lot more repairable. And every Cartier frame has that same principle where the screw is replaceable. So there you have it. I hope that's enough rimless glasses for you for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've appreciated the differences between 3 of literally the best rimless frame brands in the world. For me, as I said, I think they are the best 3 that you can choose. That's not to say that other brands are bad, but for me, Flair, Reykjavik Eyes, Cartier, if you go with one of those 3 brands, you definitely can't go wrong. If you've got any questions about anything that we've talked about in this video, please leave those questions in the comment section below. I love answering your questions. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, give us a like. Subscribe to the channel, it really helps us grow. Last year, our subscribers more than doubled, and this year I want it to more than double again. In fact, what about triple? Shall we go for triple this year? But yeah, if you can subscribe, I'll be eternally grateful. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks guys, bye-bye.